Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Squat Cobbler. Like and subscribe. Because if you like and subscribe and we hit 1,000 subscribers, Kelly's going to throw us a party at his place. I'm Dr. Mike at Official Pagan on everything. And joining me as always.
Hi, everybody. This is Kelly at KELLYTHOL on Twitter and Instagram. Your memory's fading, Dr. Mike. You should probably prescribe some memory medication because our good friend Vex has volunteered to be the party host unless you talked him out of it offline.
No, I've made no such attempts.
Okay, so we're gonna stay with Team Vex for the party. Because he actually wants to host it, and it's not that I don't love our subscribers, but let's have it
That's
at
what it
Vex's
sounds
place.
like you're saying.
Vex loves them more, so it's the kind of guy he is.
He loves our subscribers more.
Yeah, he's a complex guy. So
Layers of an onion peeling away.
there you go.
So, Kelly, tonight, I have an important question for you. Are you a handheld guy?
Um, handheld. I am a moderate handheld gaming system guy, Mike, and you.
So, what's moderate? What does that mean?
That means I got a Switch. That
Okay.
means that back in the day I had various Nintendo Game Boy kind of things from there. But that's been really about it.
Okay. That's
So maybe
that's
moderate's
good.
generous. I don't know, but I have a Switch.
Oh, no, that's pretty good. Yeah, you have a Switch. I mean, Switch does kind of double as a console, though, right?
Not mine because I bought the poor man Switch. It's just the mini. So it's completely handheld. No docking station, no ability to project, not even a video card in it that would allow you to put it on another monitor. So you can't do anything fancy there for it.
Interesting.
So it's the kind of starter, slightly less expensive Switch, but games all play the same.
Very nice. Very nice. So I always enjoyed handheld games, especially as a kid, just the ability to take video games with me. Quality wise, of course, they were never as good. It was more the excitement of playing a video game on the road kind of thing. A lot of those Tiger Electronics games. Do you remember those?
So yeah, so is this the ones with the red LEDs?
Yeah, they were basically like calculator style
Yeah,
graphics.
yeah, yeah.
I had a lot of
I
those.
think with
The Pride and
ColecoVision, another one that did the handhelds outside of Tiger.
did ColecoVision do a handheld?
I thought Coleco was another producer of them, but the football, whatever the, and we know what it is. We're not just saying it out loud, but
No.
miraculously
Yeah.
there might be an image that shows up reflecting what I'm talking about. So that is what I'm talking about. I used to play that a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, no. I definitely saw those. The pride and joy of my handheld gaming collection though was my Double Dragon wristwatch.
nice.
It was not only Double Dragon branded, but you could play a little calculator style version of Double Dragon on there. And I mean, it is incredibly loose to call what you could do on there playing Double Dragon, but still, I had a Double Dragon wristwatch that technically played some kind of Double Dragon related content. So that was pretty amazing for the time.
Yeah, you know that they're pushing the form factor hard when a game like Yahtzee is actually like pushing its graphical delivery the most. So Double Dragon, I mean, you got to be pretty darn creative, and also the player has to have a fairly good imagination to kind
Yeah,
of
you were
fully
you were
immerse.
filling in a lot of blanks
Yeah,
there. Yeah. Your suspension of disbelief was really strained.
no doubt.
And then of course moving on to Game Boy and things like that, where it got more serious from that point forward. Although Hasbro for their anniversary did re-release a few of the Tiger handheld games. I did pick one of those up, so maybe we should do a review in the
There you go.
future. We'll see how this goes. Our first handheld gaming chat. We'll see how this one goes down. But today I actually wanted to ask you about the Evercade. Are you familiar with this at all?
By name only. This is one delivery that I've video game delivery method that I really don't have. But I know the name, and I kind of had a bit of an idea of the form factor, but that was the extent of my knowledge.
It is a handheld gaming system. It does take cartridges. which is the interesting thing about it. It uses cartridges. So if you want to go for that full retro handheld gaming console experience, cartridges. What's neat about the form factor of the cartridge, they're curved at the top, so they match the curvature of the back of the
Oh,
system.
nice.
So
Good.
instead of sticking out the way a Game Boy or something like that would.
Yep, there was a designer involved there somewhere.
Yeah,
So,
it fits nicely. And for the collector minded people, the cartridges, this is the most recent one that I picked up. It is the Atari Lynx Collection Volume 1. The cartridges come in hard plastic cases with full color booklets describing each of the games that are included. Basically, what it is, each of these essentially is a collection of retro gaming and they're themed packs. So, Atari Lynx games, I have an Atari collection, a Techno collection, different things like that. So, I have a few of these cartridges. I don't have all of them that are out on the market. What's cool, in addition to retro games, there is cartridge collections of indie games as well. So it's cool to see some of the indie games that were available only digitally previously available in an actual cartridge, old school style. I wasn't sure about this when I first saw this announced. I did eventually pick one up because Amazon was offering a bundle pack at a really good price a while back. I haven't talked about it on here though because I wanted to see if this stuck around a little bit or if it was just going to be those initial cartridges released. But new cartridges keep coming, so I have a number of them now, and they range anywhere from 2 to 20 games on each cartridge, depending on the size of the games. What's interesting about the way that it's put together, something that a few people complained about, the collections, particularly when you get into like the Atari collection and things like that. Certain things, I guess, seem almost random from the 10 to 20 games when you get on there. For example, the Atari collection has 2,600 games, 7,800 games, things like that all mixed together. It was my introduction finally to Ninja Golf, which I love now.
mm-hmm.
It has quickly become one of my favorite games. Um, but the reason that they do that is the emulators are built into the cartridge. So you're not having to download or switch emulators, which is one of the downsides of playing things off of RetroPie. When you download a ton of games on your RetroPie, totally legally sourced ROMs that you would get for those things, your main set of emulators isn't going to work for every game. So sometimes you have to start up a game, exit out of that game, start up a new emulator in order to run that game properly. So the reason that some of these games are paired together is because the built-in emulators, they just pair the games with the best emulators for them. And it's built right into the cartridge. It's actually kind of a smart way to do it. Everything runs perfectly. One minor complaint about it for anybody who's looking for a handheld, well, I guess it's two. This clearly is only one player. The games, though, that are two-player still have a two-player option on there, which bothered some people since two-player is not available. Evercade has explained that at some point, if the units continue to sell well, there may be some sort of way to link systems together. It's something they're working on, but it's going to be a supply and demand kind of thing.
Yep.
If people want it, they'll put that out there, a way to link them to do two-player. So that's why they still, on the games, allow you to choose a two-player option, because at some point in the future, if enough people buy these, they'll work out a two-player system there. And what's cool about this, and apparently not in some versions of Switch, you can attach this to a TV and play it on the TV. And this essentially just becomes your controller.
Yeah, that'd be. And I love the Switch. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's really good. But and by and large, I'm using it when I'm traveling. I'm using it when a handheld kind of makes sense. But it'd be nice sometimes. I'd like to kind of play, because you can get BioShock on it. And while interesting to play, BioShock up on a big screen or on a big monitor is always a bit more of an adventure. So that's a little disappointing. So that's nice so that's HDMI.
HDMI, yes.
Okay, cool, good. So what does a bundled Evercade unit run you?
So it's really all over the place because they offer a number of different bundle packs, which is smart because there's a lot of different opt-in price points, from just the Evercade itself to, I believe the one that I got was 3 cartridges packed in, which came out to like 30 games. And then because of the Amazon deal, like add another cartridge for another $5 or whatever it was. So I think I have 6 cartridges now total from the additional ones that I purchased myself. So I don't have all of the cartridges. They're definitely collector minded though. They're also numbered on the
Oh,
side. So it is definitely a collector minded system. All of the cartridges are numbered. So of course, collect all of the cartridges. What I like is that they are themed. And what's cool is having things like this. Like I did not have an Atari Lynx. I played a Lynx before, and I know there were some cool games for it, which I've played through totally legal ROMs on emulators. But this is a cool way to, on a cartridge, get your totally legal ROMs of a bunch of cool Atari Lynx games, including the Atari Lynx version of Basketball, which I've mentioned on the show before, an all-time favorite of mine for the 7800 specifically. And I've never played the Lynx version prior to this, so now I got to play the Lynx version on a cartridge, which is pretty neat. And playing on a handheld, which is how it was intended to be, since Lynx was a handheld system. That was, for anybody who doesn't know, Atari's handheld system. So it was cool to play it the way it was intended to be on there.
excellent. Very cool.
Although I have to say the best for Atari, for the best one for basketball is the Atari Fight Stick. Playing that projected on a wall.
Yeah, that'd be good, and you got a really strong spaced out controller set. So
Yeah.
you're just playing on a surfboard. It's the only problem. So I'm still thinking about buying one of those surfboards too. So
I really like it. It is really, I mean, it's just the size issue, but I really like it
yeah.
as far as the Atari products go. But what's cool about this, especially if you're an Atari person with Evercade, they have a few different Atari collections that have 2600, 7800 games on there. And now there are 2 Lynx collections. So you get those as well. It'd be cool to see if there's like a Jaguar collection or something later. I don't know emulation wise how that goes. I haven't seen a ton of Jaguar ROMs on the legal spaces that you would only find those things on. But there is a huge like Jaguar homebrew community, and there was indie games still being released on cartridges for quite some time after the actual demise of the system. I had written a article for, I think it was AOL. They had hired me to do this many years ago. They had hired me to do a list of the worst gaming systems of all time, and so many people were mad that I didn't put Jaguar on there. And so I had to kind of like write a follow-up piece to explain away why Jaguar wasn't on there. Jaguar and 32X I did not include, and people were furious at me. And I love 32X, so that was a big part of that. Yep. But also 32X was intentionally torpedoed by Sega because they were trying to rush out Saturn. So it was really just a stopgap for them. And then they just canceled production on it and didn't even fulfill the orders that had come in for it. So,
that's nice.
Yeah, so based on orders, 32X was actually a really solid launch of a system. And then Sega was like, no, we're not going to ship them. And then, of course, that destroyed, their credibility, which hurt their future systems and wasn't a good idea.
No.
And Jaguar was really a development issue. Later Jaguar games in the system's lifespan looked amazing. The early games looked like Sega and Nintendo games with some more colors in them. And that was because people were taking the lazy way of doing it. So a lot of people mistakenly believe that the Jaguar was not really 64-bit. That's not true. I understand why they think that, though, because it didn't look it from a lot of those early games. And it was because in order to help the game developers develop for this new space that they had never used before, they put a Motorola 16-bit processor that you would use as a programmer to basically dictate where the data was going as far as, sound data goes here, graphics data goes here, as a cheat for people who were used to programming on those 16-bit processors. The people, though, were like, hey, what if we just make 16-bit games for it? It'll be really easy then. So, and that's what they did. They were trying to pawn off 16-bit games as 64-bit games.
Yep.
So, which,
never
people are looking at it, they're like, yeah, there's no way this is 64-bit. It has like 4 more colors in a Sega game. What are you talking about? But then the later games looked much better, but by that point, people weren't on board. So, Evercade, if you're listening, and I'm sure you are, figure that out. How do we get Atari Jaguar games on here?
Atari Jaguar and get the 2-player option going, which I can't imagine. I can understand them waiting a bit to do it, but since if memory serves, you were able to chain together Game Boys.
Yes.
So if you could connect Game Boys, I would think that the bridge is not that significant to be able to kind of create a 2-player deal with an Evercade system. But
Well, I think
I
that's what
know.
the idea is, that rather than manufacture the equipment they would need for it, wait and see if there's a demand for it first. But that's how Game Boy worked. Game Gear worked that way. Neo Geo Pocket, all by daisy chaining systems together. So presumably it'll work the same way. They just didn't want to put the money into developing the gear for that unless there was a demand for it.
Yeah.
But for the people who complain, that's why you're able to select 2-player, even though you can't play with another person at the moment.